Hi, I'm Jennifer Simmons with AIM, and this is our CEO, Matt Greller. It's week 3 of the legislative session, and we're back with another overview of this week's highlights. Matt, House Bill 1116 has a lot of AIM initiatives in it, and there's been a little bit of action this week. What's the latest?
Yeah, it's been a busy week. Some not great things have happened, but on the positive side, our government efficiency operational initiatives bill is moving through the process relatively well. House Bill 1116, as Jennifer mentioned, came out of committee this week, moves on to the House floor. It's largely intact. There are a couple modifications from the original version of the bill. The first makes it clear that leasing can be included in discussions in executive session for council, etc. And then also an amendment we're expecting on the House floor this or next week on second reading is an effort to address the nonpartisan boards and commissions, an effort to make them nonpartisan appointments. Some legislators want to have that apply only to Class 3 cities, so they'd remove Class 2 cities out of that discussion, which is unfortunate from our standpoint, but we'll continue to move it forward and get it through the process, and hopefully we can add Class 2 cities back in at some point in the near future.
All right, so we have to get into the more challenging pieces of legislation that we're dealing with. Last week we talked a little bit about Senate Bill 535, sponsored by Senator Boots. It deals with extraterritorial jurisdiction. Any updates this week?
Yeah, exactly what it says. Extraterritorial jurisdictions, or the 2-mile fringe, I think, as most of us refer to it. It's a wide sweeping bill that really fundamentally alters Indiana's planning and zoning statute. It removes the 2-mile fringe. It will be heard in Senate Local Government on Thursday next week, authored by Senator Boots, continuing to work with him to try to limit the scope of that bill. We've heard a lot of feedback already from members about the negative impacts of the bill, and you can rest assured we're working very hard to curb that bill and make it as good as we possibly can before it heads over to the House if it gets that far.
All right, the issue comes up every week, every session, annexation. Right now, it's Senate Bill 94 that appears to be the bill that is moving through the process at least the quickest. There's language eliminating waivers, which we're very used to seeing at this point, but there's also some petition language that's really, it's much worse. You want to go in detail there?
Yeah, so Senate Bill 94 was heard in local government, Senate Local Government this week, again authored by Senator Boots. This bill is ridiculous. It flies in the face of the work we did back in 2015 on a very aggressive annexation bill that we compromised dramatically on. It makes all annexations voluntary. There's no other way to talk about it. It requires 51% consent from property owners in any area to be annexed to sign a petition and move that annexation forward. The city or the town cannot initiate the petition process. It's just a very bad bill for local government. It's a bad bill for smart growth. It's a bad bill for allowing us to be able to extend services outside of the corporate boundaries. We will be putting on, it came out of the House or Senate Local Government Committee this week by a vote of 6-3. So there was some opposition in committee. We'll be working this bill very hard on the floor in the next week or so, hopefully to kill the bill before it can get out of the Senate and move over to the House. You'll be receiving extra and additional information on the bill and specific instructions on who to contact, talking points, etc., but definitely one to keep an eye out as we head into next week.
Another bill where we're going to be seeking support or assistance from our members is House Bill 1166. It's the RDC bill, a bill that converts the non-voting school board member into a voting school board member. So there's some developments there as well.
Yeah, House Bill 1166, authored by Representative Cook, was heard this week in committee in the House. It was held, so it'll be back next week, presumably for a vote. This bill was a little bit confusing in that there is a tiebreaker component, but really the bill, when you get into the language, removes an executive appointment from the Redevelopment Commission and replaces that executive appointment with a school board or school corporation voting member on the Redevelopment Commission. We think this reverses course on compromise language that we had last year about a requirement for redevelopment commissions to publicly meet with the underlying taxing units in the TIF areas to have a data-driven discussion about the impacts of TIF on those underlying units. That process has just started. We'd really like to see that take place before we jump into additional legislative changes. I think furthermore, city and town executives, the mayor, the council, are clearly responsible for economic development in their communities. This would undermine that process. It takes authority away and responsibility away and accountability away from us for those efforts. So for all those reasons, we'd like to see the bill defeated in committee next week if it is called back for a vote. Again, you'll receive more information about this and who to contact exactly, but members of the House Government and Regulatory Reform Committee are as follows. It's chaired by Representative Kevin Mahan. Vice Chair is Representative Jim Pressel. Majority members are Representative David Abbott, Representative Karen Engelman, Representative Ryan Lauer, Representative Randy Linus, Representative Wendy McNamara, Representative Doug Miller, and Representative Kurt Nisley. Minority members are Representative Chris Campbell, Representative John Bartlett, Representative Earl Harris, and Representative Robin Shackelford. If any of those folks represent your community, please reach out to them over the weekend and into early next week about why putting a voting school board member on the redevelopment commission is not in the best interest of local government. Thanks.
All right, busy week this week. Looks like it's going to be even busier next week. We're just scratching the surface in these reports and legislative summary. There's so many more bills that we're out there following and testifying on and engaging on with lawmakers. For a complete list, look to the bottom of your legislative summary and read the bill tracking list. Also, don't forget to hold on your calendars legislative dinner. That is complimentary to all AIM members. It's a chance for you to come to Indianapolis and talk with lawmakers here on their turf during the legislative session. That's March 20th at Crane Bay, and you can find more information on the AIM website coming soon. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, thank you.